Death is an undeniable reality that each of us must face. Despite all our achievements, possessions, relationships, and dreams, the truth remains. Life is impermanent. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha deeply understood this reality. His teachings on death offer not only comfort in the face of the unknown, but also profound wisdom for how we might choose to live every single day. From the Buddhist perspective, death is not an end, but a transition, a transformation rather than a final act. The Buddha described life as a cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death, with each stage intimately connected to the next. Understanding the nature of impermanence, or anicca in Pali, is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice. By contemplating impermanence, we are encouraged to recognize that nothing, neither joy, sorrow, youth, nor life itself, can last forever. This recognition does not intend to invoke fear or despair. Instead, it's meant to awaken us. The Buddha taught that contemplating death frees us from clinging and attachment. When we remember that everything we hold dear is subject to change and loss, we appreciate and cherish those things and people much more deeply. Our relationships become more precious. Our moments become more vivid. Our appreciation for the present intensifies. Living with an awareness of death, remarkably, is a prescription for living fully. One of the Buddha's discourses, known as the Maranasati Sutta, the mindfulness of death, urges practitioners to contemplate the reality of death regularly. He advised, just as a mountain of rock would approach steadily, crushing everything in its path, so does death approach every living being. Rather than ignoring or fearing it, the Buddha asks us to keep death in view as a guide for wise action. Consciously reflecting on our mortality can have the effect of stripping away the trivial and superficial concerns that so often fill our days. Imagine that you had only a short time left to live. How would your priorities change? The Buddha's teaching suggests that many of the things that preoccupy or trouble us would seem insignificant. Instead, we would focus on what really matters: kindness, compassion, and wisdom. By remembering death, we are reminded of the urgency to live mindfully and ethically. There is no guarantee of tomorrow, so how will you use today? The story of Kisagotami, a young mother in the Buddha's time, illustrates these principles powerfully. Ravaged with grief after losing her only child, Kisagotami carried his little body through the village, begging for someone to bring him back to life. The Buddha told her he could help if she could bring him a mustard seed from a home that had never experienced death. She went from house to house, only to find that every family, rich or poor, had suffered the loss of loved ones. Gradually, she understood the truth of universality of death and impermanence. With this understanding, her suffering was eased, and she found peace. The Buddha's teaching did not promise salvation from death, but offered wisdom to bear it. The Buddha further taught that clinging to the notion of an unchanging self, something fixed and eternal that death can destroy, is a source of suffering. In truth, everything about us, from our bodies to our minds and even our identities, is in constant flux. Clinging to what is by nature impermanent leads to fear and distress. By learning to let go, by truly recognizing change as the essence of existence, we discover a deeper peace and freedom. Our fear of death lessens because we no longer perceive it as the annihilation of a static me, but as part of the natural unfolding of life. The awareness of death can also inspire kindness and compassion. When we accept that our time, and the time of everyone we meet, is finite, our hearts naturally open. Harsh words or grudges lose their allure. Generosity, understanding, and forgiveness take their place. The Buddha taught that the best way to prepare for death is to cultivate wholesome actions, thoughts, and intentions. These wholesome seeds bear fruit not only in this life, but, according to Buddhist belief, in lives to come. Even if one does not hold such beliefs, living ethically and kindly ensures that your days are filled with meaning and connection. Another essential aspect of the Buddha's teaching on death is letting go of fear. Many people dread death because of uncertainty. What will happen? What comes next? The Buddha said that fear is relieved not by seeking certainty, but by training the mind. Through meditation and mindfulness, we can observe our thoughts and emotions, witness the arising of fear, and see it for what it is, just another passing state. We gradually learn not to be enslaved by it, Mindfulness helps us meet the reality of death, our own and that of others, with clarity, dignity, and compassion. In times of loss, mindfulness can help dissolve overwhelming grief, allowing us to feel sorrow without being crushed by it. When our own mortality becomes vivid, whether through illness, age, or simply quiet contemplation, mindfulness gifts us with the perspective to respond rather than react, to choose rather than be driven by fear. In this way, the Buddhist approach does not recommend withdrawal or resignation in the face of death. Quite the opposite. It calls us to engage with life fully, to engage with every moment as if it mattered, because it does. This is sometimes summed up in the advice, live as if you will die tomorrow. Learn as if you will live forever. Each day, each breath is precious. Death, rather than being an enemy, becomes a wise teacher, reminding us to avoid heedlessness, to choose love and service, and to wake up to the miracle of existence. So how can the Buddha's teachings about death change the way you live? By seeing things as they truly are, you are encouraged to let go of pettiness, to forgive more easily, to love more deeply, and to invest your inevitable, irreplaceable time into what truly matters. You are invited to meet life and death, joy and sorrow, beginnings and endings, with courage, compassion, and a heart wide open. Remembering death is not about despairing, but about valuing each passing day. It lights within us an urgency to appreciate, to connect, to grow, and ultimately, to live in a way that when our final moment comes, we can greet it with peace in our hearts. For in the impermanence of all things, the Buddha's wisdom shines. Only by embracing change can we discover the deepest freedom and peace.